Make sure you guys like and share the stream. And this will be the last panel of part one. We got still a lot of content coming to you. Dr. Jill Stein going to be joining Savvy Sabs on top of the next part, day one, part two. So I'm letting you guys know right now. Go on, look, day one, part two. Like that stream. Get ready to transition because after this panel, we're gonna move on to part two, and then tomorrow we got day one, part one, and we starting it again. This has been a great summit. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this education. You guys saw a panel earlier today with that Savvy and JB. Will also he was on there for a little bit where there was brainstorming union organizing, and we're gonna have a lot of UN activists and people who want to UN organize on here, because this is the activist summit, and we brainstorming ways that we can challenge our ruling class. And I think the labor struggle is obviously our biggest tool, one of our biggest tool that we have, because as I cover on this channel all the time, there is an active, ongoing class war that has been waging my entire life. There's a reason why the quality of life has dropped. Life expectancy has dropped. Our parents was better off than we are. They was able to have kids, have houses. They have all this stuff than we. This did not disappear for no reason. This has been an active class war on behalf of the managerial class. So you have all these people that are now striking, forming unions, and that is not by coincidence. And I want to introduce our guests for our next panel. And I love what they are doing. I want to introduce our guests, Tyler and Candy Mercer. You guys are with T-Mobile and Sprint. And I want to ask you guys to share your story. But before I get into that, there's been this long pattern where we see Starbucks unionizing, we see Amazon unionizing. And it all, like when you look at their demands, like Kellogg as well. Like we have a Kellogg factory about 3 hours away where I live in Topeka, where they was pretty much talking about worker conditions, the way workers are treated, and that leading to this massive unionization drive that has the managerial class panicking. And I love this new direction. I love that this new almost like worker movement is developing in lieu of electoral politics, creating change that we need. So I'm introducing Tyler and Candy because I'll allow you guys to explain, because you guys with T-Mobile and Sprint, and I want to get Tyler in there first, then we get Candy. You guys can introduce yourself and the activism that you guys are engaging in. Like, what's the background? And let's get Tyler in here first. Like, in terms of the background of the labor struggle that you guys are going on. It's related to the T-Mobile and Sprint merger. Am I correct? But I'll pass to you, Tyler, so you can explain to us.
Yeah, you're absolutely on point with that. I mean, these are trends that we're seeing in labor across the country. And first things first, though, thank you so much for having us on. I've been a huge supporter of what RBN is doing. Nice. Unix, CJ, JB, Savvy, Rome, all of you guys are killing it. Keep up the good work, and looking forward to another rising beatdown, hopefully soon.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet, man. Speaking of Rome, I'm honestly extremely proud to be hosted by a network that does the on-the-ground activism that he does. Tour for the Poor is real grassroots, on-the-ground shit, and I've got so much respect for his work.
Yeah, also, Rome taught me a lot, man. Like, Rome lit a fire under me. Like, and I already had the fire. I didn't even know that fire could even be lit even more than that, because he was here doing the Tour for the Poor, and like he is such a valuable like tour for the left. But anyway, sorry, Tyler, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I love it. And also, warm congrats to JB for meeting his goal. Thanks to everybody that's come together to make that happen. I mean, that's, at the core of what a lot of this activism is all about, is coming together as, a working coalition for each other. Because, it's interesting, like, even though, speaking of Rome and his on the ground work, like for us, our organizing is solely digital, which comes with its unique challenges. We have to use, encrypted apps. we had to start, anonymous and, being sneaky out of fear of retaliation, because in our space, we don't get water cooler conversations. We don't get, it all has to come through digital means, which are all very visible. So it's empowering to have TSCA at our backs, and Candy and I. So like all of us, most of us don't even know each other in person. We don't even get
so
that.
Y'all in two different locations.
Yeah, exactly. And
I know I talked to you a little bit, Tyler. I haven't met Candy yet.
Hey.
So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I think that was interesting that you guys. I was assuming that you guys was like one local collective, and I want to ask you more about the organization and spread awareness about that here soon. But let's get Candy in here to introduce yourself. I haven't had a chance to conversate with you yet. Me and Tyler, we texted a few times organizing this, but great to meet you. Any introduction into your intentions, why you think labor organizing is so important? Any introduction you have, Candy, for us?
For sure, yeah. So, firstly, let me say thank you for having me here today. I actually just found out about RBN probably about 3 days ago, thanks to Tyler. And he put me down with some of the things that y'all were doing, and I think that it's absolutely wonderful. And I'm glad that we have voices who are not just talking, but actually going out and doing the work, because you don't see it. And I'm quick to talk about a lot of part-time activists who have all of the voices in the world, but as soon as something immediately happens to them, it's crickets. Unless it happens to their family.
Yeah.
Then it's, you need to fight for this. Well, you didn't say X, Y, and Z then, but you want to join a bandwagon. And I've never been a bandwagon girl.
Yes.
For me personally, I have a 17-year background just in telecom alone. I started with one cell phone company in 2005. And at that time, I immediately joined the union that we had at the time. And my understanding is they still represent the company. They just changed their name. There was an instance in which, I was young and out of college. I was just getting money and I was good at what I do. I was a top sales performer. And I'm a firm believer that when you do well, people are going to hate. And it's been proven constantly. I did well at my job. I didn't read a lot of fine print. And there were a couple of instances in which me separating from the company was going to be a very real possibility. And I was like, I don't want to leave. Who did I call? Not Ghostbusters, my union rep. And my union rep showed up every single time to read the fine print, dig into policies, and explain the things that I did not understand, and then quote their policies right back to the company to say, and this is why she's going to continue to stay.
Yes.
That fight for me then, as a 21-year-old kid graduating from college, meant everything. So now here I am today, a 37-year-old single mother of a special needs child, and not just a single parent, but a sole parent and sole provider. My child don't have no father. It's all me. I do it from the muscle. So when I say that my child is my motivator and my sole piece and purpose of doing the work that I do, let me give you this. I love the company that I work for. I love being able to provide for my customers and give them that elite experience that my department provides. But the cost of living is going up. Gas isn't getting any cheaper. It might for like 17 days, but then, it's like, psych, gotcha. And then it goes right back up again. And I'm on the East Coast. So I think I just checked, it was $4.17 a gallon, and I drive an SUV. I provide solely for my child. I would like to be able to not be on public assistance. I would like to be able to take my child on a vacation that's not some exorbitant amount. And in order to do so, I need to be able to afford it. We had a CEO previously who made it his life's mission to have us have a decent home and work-life balance. And I met this man in person one day, and he actually came to my store when I used to work retail before I came over to care. And it just so happened my son was sick that day and I couldn't send him to daycare. I knew that day I was going to be fired because my CEO came in and saw an employee with their child in the store, and it was not bring your child to work day. He asked me, so why's your kid at work? I said, I'm gonna be honest, I'm the only key holder today. I don't have, I can't send them to daycare, and we are where we are, but the needs of the business must proceed. He said, you know what, Mom, I respect it. And I would never tell you to not bring your child to work. And if you have that much drive to have your son sit here for an 8-hour shift with you, and this store is as quiet as it is, you're doing exactly what I need you to. Keep fighting a good fight. And when he said that to me, I was like, I'm cool. When the merger shifted, however, and he dipped out of the picture, that's when things started to deteriorate. I could no longer provide for my child in the comfort of which he was used to. Um, Autism is a very real thing. ADHD is a very real thing. And add that in with PTSD, anxiety, and you're doing it all by yourself. And you now have 1,000 extra demands for a workload. And you're being told you're going to be paid less, but we're going to give you more work. Let me get that union, because that union is going to go ahead and rewind that back to see what was the catalyst that made the change. Are we going to put this solely on a merger, or are we going to say it was the merger and then it was this person and this person and this person? Because I think from the top up, they just signed at the bottom line. You don't know what happens. And if I ask any of those executives to come and sit in my chair and do what it is that I do, or Tyler does, or any of our peers, I can 100% guarantee you they're not going to give you the results that we bring. Our customers come into these queues and they speak to us and they're like, oh man, y'all are so dope. I don't even want to get on the phone. I don't want to go to another country and speak to somebody who's got broken English and they're going to apologize 17 times and they still haven't fixed my issue. And then I ask for a supervisor and they can't fix it either. You guys are the shit. Let me come here. And so this is why we're here. This is why I believe in a union, and we just want to fight for what's right.
It's so important to hear your story, Candy, because when I hear you speak, it sounds like someone who's was not only good at their work, but someone who was passionate about their work. So what the capitalist class and what these people who wage class war against us, they will lead people to believe that these workers are lazy, that they are entitled. A lot of people, like people inherently want to work hard and be rewarded for their hard work. And the unionizing and bargaining puts us in a position where we can do that. And I feel like there's so many workers who they almost feel guilty for asking for what they deserve. Because to be quite frank, like when I hear that story about the CEO or whoever that top guy came in, to be honest, he should be fucking embarrassed that he had an employee. I mean, this is my ideology. It what separates me from the capitalist. If you are a CEO or manager, you should be embarrassed that your employee has to bring their kid to work. You should provide. They should be living in a position where they can afford daycare, afford whatever they need. Have time off. They time off if they need. You should be well staffed to the point where they should be able to do that, right? And based on your story, you are a great worker who made sacrifices for the company and went above beyond what they are asking of you. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I see this everywhere. Got everywhere. I mean, I know I'll tell you guys my story about my cousin who I housed in my home here. He is the hardest worker you will ever find. He works as a cook, and he take like extra days to help them cover for the company when they short staff. Oh, don't worry, Tyler, I'll get you back in here. I know sometimes this app may have some connection issues. But I see these people who are passionate about the work, and I also say there's no such thing as a low quality worker, no low skill worker. They don't exist. That is not a thing. So they employ that CEO. He should be embarrassed when you see the fact that you even had to bring your kid there. That's the mentality that we have, and by holding these people accountable, by organizing a union, we can begin to do that. And I want to ask you guys about the merger because I'm assuming that everyone who's watching may not know. And I'll pass it to Tyler. You guys can explain the situation which led you guys to start unionizing. So T-Mobile and Sprint started to merge, correct? And based on what our conversation we had, Tyler, you can explain more in detail. They promised you guys, oh, things gonna get better. Come on, don't worry about it. It's not gonna change. And then all of a sudden, as soon as the deal was over, things went south. Do you want to explain, Tyler, and then I'll get Candy in here afterwards?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you nailed it. I've been with T-Mobile for 10 years. I've been with this department for around 6 years. And like Candy was saying, I'm not going to lie. T-Mobile used to be a really, really awesome company to work for. The same with T-Force. My friends and family will tell you how happy I used to be working for a company that at the very least gave me the illusion it cared about me. But, you know, like she was saying, we used to have a fiery CEO everybody loved, you know, grew out his hair, wore leather jackets, used to come to call centers and directly talk to customer care workers and call them his favorite child. And I know my OG T-Mo fan remembers those days. But since then, though, since the merger with Sprint, all of that has collapsed. None of the things that used to make T-Mobile an awesome company to work for, like the incentives, we used to have trips, we could win prizes, all that stuff for, you know, recognition. It's all gone. And that CEO I mentioned, like you said, Nick, promised that jobs would increase. And that hasn't been the case one bit, as we've seen, you know, with corporate mergers time and time again. And the funny part is long hair leather jacket stepped down shortly after the merger was confirmed, and then, you know, enter new guy. And since then, there's been thousands of layoffs during a pandemic and during crazy economic hardship, no less, including within our department. So, you know, we're all just hanging in limbo, waiting for our turn to be next. And so recently, our department underwent massive pay cuts of upwards of $7 per hour. And we're seeing this as a trend. More workload, less pay.
Say that again. They getting pay cuts of how much?
Upwards of $7 per hour for bonuses.
That's a lot, guys. That's a lot. But go ahead, Jesus.
It is, especially during, like Candy was saying, you know, the gas prices, everything. We all know, we all feel that crunch. But, you know, like I was saying, we see this as a trend. It's more workload, less pay, less job security, yet more pay for CEOs and executives. And so for an example, new guy has the highest CEO to worker ratio pay in all of wireless. And so, you know, people are insecure at their job. They're afraid of layoffs. Many of us are waiting to get axed once, you know, their vaccine exemptions expire. No telling what the plan is for that, but it certainly has people who have reached out to me on edge, and has for the better part of a year. Fee from Convo Couch did a story on it, so shout out to Fee. And you know, many of these people facing layoffs have been with the company for years. Some don't have any, like some of them have never worked for another company. And I mean, like, you know, I'm an example. I've worked for 10 years, but I'm a little bit older. But I've had people reach out to me saying they have no idea what they're going to do if they lose their job. And even in some cases, afraid of losing dual income because they met their spouse at T-Mobile. So, you know, my question to workers facing these types of insecurities is, what do we really have to lose at this point that we haven't already? You know, our jobs.
That's a good question.
Like we know our jobs are on the chopping block as it is. So, and we know working conditions are getting more and more insufferable every day. So, I mean, so for T-Mobile fam, check out the Fierce Wireless article on T-Mobile using Google Cloud for customer care, AI for customer care. Like, our days are numbered. Yeah. So we know they'll dissolve. We all know that they'll dissolve us or outsource us at any minute. And so we, like you said, Nick, we've been inspired by Amazon, Starbucks, Apple, all these working class movements to unionize, because we know that when we unite and form a union, we have a voice, we get a vote, we get representation. You know, we get federal protection from retaliation when we need to leverage our labor power together. So then we can collectively bargain for contracts that we demand, and T-Mobile must adhere to them. And so a lot of people don't realize that it's illegal for employers to prevent us from doing that. So, you know, we're gonna get to what the demands look like here in a bit, but so that the way I see it is, we have two options. Yeah. We can sit around and wait to get laid off while working and material conditions decline, or we can band together in unity and harmony to demand more equitable work environment for all of us. And so, I don't know if you want to come in. Candy and I had
we can get to the demands. 'Cause I know you want to share your demands here. I'm gonna get Candy in here, but I want to add this piece for you guys, because you heard Tyler said that he'd been working for this company for quite some bit, and at one point it was a great company to work for, and this is something that you hear a lot in that going along in different fields of work. Like coal mining is one of them. You have a lot of these people that are like, oh, we got into this industry and it was great when we first started, and then all of a sudden we slowly getting our benefits turned back, and they're all like, and this is not by accident. I'm here to explain to you guys, this is not by accident.
You're right.
Profits are stolen from labor value. So under our system right now, companies have to provide unlimited increase in profits. So what happens when you maximize your market share? So in this case, we're talking about T-Mobile selling cell phones, for example. So what happens when you maximize the market share in your area, but then you're expected to increase profit the next quarter? Where does the profits come from? It comes from taking away benefits that you guys used to enjoy. And you see this not only in your industry, but in multiple
everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. And that's why I call it a class war, because what you see happen here, I mean, obviously the managers that are running T-Mobile and Sprint are horrific, but they're just following a central ideology that I want workers to understand is happening. And if you understand the ideology that the ruling class is engaging with us, this active class war to siphon wealth from us to them, then that'll make us more willing to come together because they don't really hate each other. They carve out their own territories and they control the workers in the market show and
they don't lose no sleep.
Yeah, I want to get you in here, Candy, as well, if you have anything you want to add.
They don't lose any sleep over it. And it's funny when you say, increasing market shares and where they, if they maximized it, right? And you go into the next quarter. Let me ask you a question. And this is going to tie back into what Tyler was talking about, how our CEO is the highest paid CEO in wireless. So if you cut benefits and you cut pay with your frontliners who are doing all of the actual labor.
Yeah. And
at the end of the year, you report all your earnings. I want somebody to make the math for me here. When I see that CEO got a $24 million stock bonus, but you grant these tiny breadcrumbs. You know how they say, I trust somebody this much? That's how much of the stock bonuses that we get awarded twice a year. And then we have to wait for them to vest like every 6 months. And it's maybe $600, give or take, a couple dollars. And then they tax that. So we can get, a couple $100, but all these profits and all of this hard labor, blood, sweat, tears, anxiety, PTSD, and we can't make it to work and we have to go through disability companies because we tired of being tired. You get to sleep with $24 million. And that's just one of the executives, because another executive got another $10 million in stock bonuses. I mean, and it's on Google. You can see it. Again, math. So when you have your vacation home and when you have a yacht that you get to kick it with any time of the year that you want, regardless if it's cold or not, because if it's cold where you live at, you just going to set sail somewhere else where it's nice, right? But we have to show up in our chairs at our desk and provide the best level, the elite level of top tier customer service. And we do it because it's not the customer's fault. And again, we enjoy what we do. We love the job. The people that maybe the customers that we get are supposed to be difficult, but we're seasoned enough to handle that and we can conduct ourselves. But the people who should not be difficult are the people that we work for, that chose to employ us in the first place. And let me explain something else. When I'm sitting in a meeting or a coaching, or there's just a general chat, at no point in time should the encouraging coaches be able to sit back and say with a straight face, or as they type it, because there's no tone, and they coach to tone and say, we don't want to blame any customers. You should not tell me, well, there's all these other places to work. I chose to work here. I enjoy working here. I don't know how you got the JD Power and Associates Award the last 7 years, because I certainly didn't sign off on that shit. But what I will tell you is that I am interested in making sure that my vote counts, not just for any awards that this company gets or any accolades, but where I'm actually at. It's almost like, and I was saying to Tyler earlier, it's like politics, right? You got your Dems, you got your Republicans. It don't matter. They all crooks and criminals anyway.
Yes.
But you have, and it's like going to the bar. You got to pick your poison. So who's got the best promises for you, and who do you feel is actually going to deliver for you? This is where we're at with the union. There is no reason. Listen, I told y'all I'm a single mom. My son's dad is in prison. He's got a double life sentence. He's never coming out. This is all me. I put my face out here for people. I'm holy enough to pray for you, and I'm hood enough to swing for you. Legally, of course. But understand what I tell you. If I know I got everything to lose, and this is all I know, I don't have nothing else lined up. I'm asking everybody to come and stand with me, because they're going to take the job away anyway. If they don't take it away from you today or tomorrow, they're just going to dock your pay some more, like Luther did to that girl and set it off. So yeah, what else do we have? Either you're going to take the chance, or they're going to continue to bend you over with no lube. I like lube. Excuse me.
There's so many great things. So many great things said there, Candy. I want to get Tyler back in. I want to ask you about the organization. What does that stand behind? TSSA? What's that?
TSCA. It's
TSCA. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I know this is kind of weird.
Yeah, that's my bad. Go ahead.
I tried to get us t-shirts. We were a little short on time, but I like her t-shirt better than we could have done anyway. I love that. Yeah, so it's T4 Social Care Alliance. We started. We've been organizing for quite a while. I do have to kind of be a little bit careful what I talk about strategy and stuff like that, but it's been really awesome and really empowering having other people aligned that feel the same way, that are they're on the same page, and we become a family that way. And it really is something that T-Force, our department, has known for a long time. I mean, I relocated out to, personal side note, I relocated out to Colorado Springs when I moved into the department, and it didn't take long for me to make, the people that I worked with there ended up becoming family. And then, when all these changes started happening, and then we ended up moving, work from home full time, it just became a lot more difficult to stay together and stuff like that. So TSCA has been really, really incredible to have that family again. And we, like Candy was saying, we can't stress enough how important it is for all of you to join us, so that we have each other. But that's pretty much how it started. I mean, with all the working conditions just deteriorating around us, and pay getting cut, layoffs happening, vaccine mandates, all that stuff it's just made it so stressful that we've all needed an outlet. And now we have one. Now we have a family. Now we have somewhere to go to be together and have representation.
That radical solidarity is so strong and so important. That radical solidarity scares the shit out of the ruling class. Why do you guys think our culture has programmed people to live these individualistic lives, to engage in individualism? So think about it. If you are a hard worker like Tyler and Candy here, most U.S. adults spend around 1/3 of their life at work, right? And then imagine you forming the bonds based on solidarity of asking for better, forming units together. That's the kind of bond and community building that the ruling class do not want us to engage. They want you to compete with your fellow worker. You don't want to unionize. You don't want to make everything. You don't want to equalize the workplace. What if you do more and you deserve more to cut? Then they want to pit workers against each other, and that's why you hear common anti-union sentiments that is repeated often. I live in Missouri, and Kansas is a right to work state right next door. We see unions demonized all the time. Like I see, like if you turn on TV, you see an anti-union ad probably right now because of ballot initiatives where they say, "Oh, this is why unions are so horrific for you." And Candy brought up, and you brought up your experience with the union. That is not the experience you guys seem to have. Like, so what do you guys think? And I'm asking this very vaguely. You guys can take this on. What do you guys think is the biggest misconception that a lot of people have with unions? Because living here in middle of America, red state, we're now seeing for the first time, post show this, people shifting their support towards unions, but there always was this big, especially in Kansas. I live in the Missouri side, but Kansas is literally 10 minutes away. I worked in Kansas my entire life, right to work state. And then there's still like the older workers like, I don't know about unions. So if you guys want to take that on, we can start with Candy if you guys want. Like, what do you guys think is the biggest misconception people have about unions that make people hesitant to join them?
I think the biggest misconception that people have regarding joining unions is that they cost a shit ton of money. It's literally like between, I mean, it depends, you know, where you are and what your income is, but it can literally be as low as 1% of your pay. And the way I see it is we spend 1%, hell, even 3%, if that's what your number is somewhere else, on a whole lot less. You could spend that 1 or 3% going to Wendy's on a $5 biggie bag and call it a day. It's not a lot. And my thing is, what I try to implore people to understand is that if you can spend that little bit there, remember those commercials? It just takes 30 cents a day to feed a child. If you can spend that somewhere else for your personal self, I think to ensure your job security, you can spend a little extra. You're already paying for benefits. If your benefits are going up, it sure would be nice to have a union represent you to maybe get those costs down. And maybe those costs can get reallocated into the union dues that you're paying. Then you won't even miss it.
I never had a unionized job before. If you listen to the anti-union propaganda, they will have you believe they're taking 35%. Like I'm dead out. They will say stuff like, "Why are you joining the union? They take all you really want to pay that union dues? Do you know how much cut they take?" See, I never had a union job, so I don't have no personal experience. So so I'm glad that you were able to clarify that because I think a lot of people get that wrong because of the propaganda. But go ahead, Tyler, if you want to take that on, like what the business.
I mean, that was so well said. And the funny thing is that if you look at all the data, union workers make more money. They have better benefits. They have better representation, better job security. All the data speaks for itself. It doesn't have to be, you know, an argument back and forth of what's propaganda and what's not. And what I would say is that it's not necessarily a misconception. It's probably just more of like an interference. And that's fear mongering. I mean, and I'll be honest. I think a lot of that is going on within T-Force right now. I think that, you know, they've got this strategy to terrify middle management so that when they have one-on-one conversations, they can give their opinion, but it's like, it's basically instilling, like, everybody's so afraid to, you know, speak with us. And I won't say everybody because we have a ton of support and it's overwhelming. But I mean, there are a lot of people that are just like, they're rooting for us and they really want us to win. And they, you know, but they're just quite on the cusp because of all the fear mongering that goes along with retaliation. And let's be honest, like, companies get greasy. Like, they really do. We saw it with Amazon. We've seen it with Starbucks. But at the end of the day, when we're unified together, when we have the numbers that we do, and you see the same thing happening with Apple, Starbucks, and REI and all these other companies, there's nothing they can do because we have federal protection. So that's one thing that is like so important for our coworkers and for all workers to understand, is that we are so much more powerful and motivated and inspired when we're together and speaking together, that even amongst the fear mongering, you know, we're all in this together. And like we said before, like what are the options otherwise? Like, yeah, but it is nice to have this, it is nice to have this unity and have this family. It's unreal. It for me personally, I've said this in my work chats, that it gives me a sense of purpose again. It gives me, you know, and everybody that's aligned with us has had that same feeling, that it's like, wow, Like I actually feel empowered. I actually have a voice again. Like
I have no hard data to back this up, but I'm pretty sure that sense of purpose was stolen from us on purpose, right? That's why they want us to be individual. Like we are very community based people. Like this hyper capitalistic. We to lock ourselves, travel, commute in this box, go in our cubicle for a box, and just ignore. I think that is extremely unnatural. We are supposed to cooperate with each other with the goal of improvement and making life better. And the process of doing that gives us a lot of satisfaction. And a lot of people they go through life with this sense of emptiness. And I went through this as well. And now the fact of doing the organizing that I do right now gives me a drive. And I feel like people are just programmed to just live this militaristic life that they think is gonna make them happy. They think living this this lonely existence, this lonely selfish existence gonna make them happy, but it does not. And this shows in study where it shows that the United States of America is the most lonely and we are the most depressed people despite all the wealth, quote unquote, that our company have. But sorry, Tyler, I want you to continue. I know I'm not cut you off.
No, that's okay. It's so well said. I think that's so relatable for everybody. Anybody that's working, especially a corporate job that's going through that. And I can't reiterate enough how much we do love our T-Force fam. Like this is why we're doing this. And like Candy touched on earlier, it's really scary I've been so nervous for this interview. I've been like telling everybody, are you guys excited to go see me stumble over my words?
Y'all been great. Y'all been great.
But seriously, like it is a really scary thing to put ourselves out there like that. Candy mentioned it earlier, but once you do, it's so liberating. Once you and plus another thing that's super important to remember is once you go public, once you publicly announce your support for the union, you have federal protection against retaliation and anything that. So say T-Mobile fires Candy and I after this interview, we go straight to the National Labor.
We're gonna raise hell too. Trust me, the RBN community. We will raise all hell to happen.
I appreciate that. And that's what I was telling Candy earlier, like it's a scary thing. We've been very nervous coming out and doing this interview. I've told everybody and I said, you know what?
T-Mobile, we watching you motherfuckers. We are watching you motherfuckers. Sorry, go ahead, Ty.
No,
I'll tell you, T-Mobile, we watch it. Y'all better not do some shady shit. We got army.
But wait, I was saying, because I told Tyler, I said, listen, I'm not one to back out on my word, but see the way like my life is set up and it's, moderately comfortable. I was like, I had to sit and pray on this because he said, well, no, don't be worried. We did our prep. You're going to be fine. You sound great. I said, I'm not worried about the interview. I got that shit. I'm worried about when I take my ass to work tomorrow between those 4 business days that I'm working or whenever I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop because there's going to be a conversation. And it's by God's grace that I've been an exemplary employee, right? I'm not bragging, but it is what it is. I can't speak to write-ups, time and attendance. Like I come to work, I do my job because I don't like having those conversations when I'm working. Don't come and talk to me about bad numbers. You can't talk to me about bad numbers because I give you the numbers that you need. You can't talk to me about, oh, you don't come to work. I bring my black ass to work. You get what I'm saying? I don't give them ammunition to shoot at me.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking around like, man, let me just say it because again, I've got nothing to lose at this point. I'm going to lose my job. Knock on wood, I don't. But my hope is that after bringing this to light and us having this platform and maybe additional platforms, that maybe everybody feels inspired to hop along with this change and say, you know what, let's take it back now. We're not going to sit back and demand. We ask politely. Now we're demanding. And that's what it is. And we're asking to give you those demands in a fair, legal way. We want you to do the right thing because we could quit. We're not quitting. We're not striking. We're not blacking out. We all, this whole department from the East Coast to the West Coast to the Midwest, we all show up for work and we've got these crazy schedules. Let me tell you something. I work 2:30 in the afternoon till 1:30 in the morning. And then I have to go to sleep, try to fall asleep anyway, and be up at 6:30 in the morning to get my child ready for school. Ask me how old I am. I just started getting circles under my eyes because I'm motherfucking tired. I'm tired, okay? This is where we're at.
Yeah.
I'm not by myself in this. And this is why I'm here. I'm holding everybody's hands wherever you're at. Tyler's holding everybody's hands wherever you're at. We have an email on the screen. We have a social handle for you. So we're not scared. We're not being bullied into fear mongering. We got your back.
Reach out to us.
Have
Yeah.
ours.
Yes. Now I want to get to the demands that you guys have, and then after that, we're gonna I want to highlight how people can help you guys, and then we get ready for the part 2 of our summit.
Cool.
So is there I'll pass it to you, Tyler, if you want to explain. If you guys have a link, you can send it to me. I don't know if there's a website or anything you want me to pull up, but if you just want to explain your demands and how people can help the movement that you guys are fighting for, go ahead, Tyler, if you want to.
Sure. So Candy and I prepared a message on behalf of TSCA that we'd like to share with all workers and our especially our T-Force fam. So go ahead, Candy.
Well, so many people are really upset and disgruntled with their employees and, the regular work home life balance and the system they feel they have no control over. So we just want to say this.
If history is any indication, unionizing and activism and real change is not going to happen on its own. We have to find creative ways to motivate and inspire each other to think like revolutionaries. Just like Fred Hampton said, we have to keep telling ourselves that we are revolutionaries. Telling our employer we need a raise isn't enough. They don't care because it's not profitable to them.
So it's up to us. We need to grow this network of working people, no matter their political identity. So when we see somebody hurting and they're upset about how they're being treated at work, reach out to them, relate to them, sharing their struggles, genuinely care, and let them know that the world is going to be better and it's possibly be better, if we just all hold hands.
When we're stuck now in a vicious cycle of power and money being funneled into the pockets of a wealthy few, while the rest of us, the ones producing our employers this absurd surplus through our labor, continue to have material conditions decline. So we need to reach our struggling brothers and sisters, invite them into Signal and Telegram and other private group chats to start a family of coworkers through love and togetherness and grow our power in numbers. Let them know we aren't expendable. We aren't robots. We're not just a number. We're human beings with thoughts and feelings and lives outside this box that they try to force us in and keep us in. And we're here for each other.
So for our T-Mobile and T-Force Frontline family, we want to start off by saying this. Solidarity. That's what it's about. We've been through a lot, right? So many changes and, it's like constant whiplash. We know many of you were terrified of losing your jobs after thousands of layoffs since the merger, and many of you were uneasy about aligning yourselves with union organizers, mostly due to the company's vicious aggression towards organizers in the past. But please keep in mind that job security is the biggest reason that we're doing this. The NLRA offers us federal protections from our employers retaliating against us because you aligned yourself with TSCA. That doesn't mean that they won't try, but our protection and job security is the number one priority, and we're going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that we have that.
Absolutely. And we encourage all of you to study the National Labor Relations Act. It's available online through a quick Google search. Know your rights and how you're federally protected against retaliation when you align with TSCA. We know that our jobs and livelihoods have been expendable to them for a long time now, just sitting and waiting for that all hands or team meeting when they announce we're out. Same with our pay. It's not meeting up to the cost of living, let alone the executive's profit. And TSCA is here to protect us from conditions getting worse and is actively working to make them much better. However, we need your help. Join us in solidarity and reach out to find out what you can do to help us grow this movement.
We definitely encourage and implore you all, if you're worried about allying with us, come to our Ask Me Anythings, or you can reach out to us at our email that we provided or our social, as you see on our screens, and come with your concerns, come with your demands, come with your feedback, and keep an eye out on communications moving forward. Thank you to those who've already reached out and provided those things. Thanks to you, we've already been able to come up with a list of demands to bring to the man. This list was put together by the voices of our coworkers, you, him, me, it's a collective. There's not anybody whose thoughts are valued more than the other. Like, we're all here, one team, one dream, and we're going to show these people exactly what team means. There's no I in it. Let's see here. If you didn't get a survey to submit those, just let us know. Just reach out to the email or to the social channel, and we'll make sure that we get you that survey as well. And we want to make sure that all your demands are heard by any means.
Yes, absolutely. Super important that we get that feedback, because that's how we compile these lists, and every voice matters. So number one, job security. Through your feedback, that jumped to the number one priority we're fighting for. 1 year pay and 1 year of benefits for severance.
Cool. 2, because nobody works for free, right? This is why we're here. We're looking at a 20% base increase pay for specialists and a 25% base increase for senior specialists. That includes current and future increases for the cost of living and inflation separately from annual raises. We also would look to remove the raise caps and continue annual raises as well.
Absolutely. And I know you're all going to love this one. Return to office is optional permanently, which includes lifting all current and future vaccine mandates for work from home employees.
We also would like to position completely remote for all of T-Force.
Absolutely. And this one we're working on, but it's in-house education on retirement plans, such as stocks, 401k, and health savings accounts. We're looking to get pension guarantees included. More to come on that.
This is actually one of my favorite demands. We're looking at 2 weeks paid leave per calendar year. That's completely separate from your standard PTO, which stands for paid time off for those who don't know.
Sick leave, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so huge, because this pandemic, it took a lot of people out. We have a lot of people who have to take leaves, or they take care of sick family members. And it stinks that, when you want to unwind and have that separation time to decompress, you have to use those hours that you've earned at a very small rate, depending on tenure, just to get away with that stuff. So if you're sick, here's your sick hours. Be great.
Yeah. Meetings, trainings, and coaches code protected. It's number 7.
Number 8, we're also looking at a 5% base pay increase and expansion of overnight and weekend teams to provide more flexible scheduling options for everyone. Now, for those who don't know, because I see that some people just joined in, we have different scheduling options. I work 4 days a week. Some people work 3 days a week, and others work 5 days a week. This company is based on a West Coast time zone model. So Tyler, I think he starts work like 9 in the morning. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but just say hypothetically he started 9 in the morning and he worked till 5 o'clock. For me, that's 12 to 8 on the East Coast. Now, if there's a shift that starts at 11 o'clock, that's 2 o'clock for me, and then I don't get off until 1 the next day, which, if I'm not asleep by midnight, sleep deprivation starts to set in and anxiety starts to set in. Your body can't function because it doesn't have adequate sleep. This one is so important for so many people because there are not enough of the flex schedules to go around. And when you live in the Midwest or the East Coast, you're almost guaranteed to get a schedule where you're not getting off until after midnight the next day.
Yeah, schedule flexibility is huge on the list, and we're working through that too. Number 9 is annual $1,500 grants for all work from home employees for ergonomic working setups such as desks, chairs, and laptop stands.
And last but not least, no reductions in current pay or benefits, regardless of your change in role.
Very important. And so keep in mind, again, these are subject to change based on the feedback we receive. So please take the surveys we send out so that we can make sure your voice is heard. Again, these are far from radical demands, and we believe that they're more than fair for T-Force to guarantee. It'll take all of us mobilizing to make this happen, but it's absolutely achievable and we will succeed. So find a TSCA rep with the logo on chat at work and contact us directly. We're here for you and we're all in this together. And we ask that you join with us. Let's vote together on how we would like to see things change for the front line instead of screaming into the void of meaningless surveys that go nowhere.
That was a powerful statement and powerful list of demands. Was there something else, Candy?
Lastly, I just want to say to all of our T-Force customers and our potential customers, we really do want to say thank you. Thanks for the overwhelming outpouring of support that we've been getting in our queues. We're not allowed to respond. Unfortunately, they blocked that. But just know that we see it, we love it, we appreciate it, and it makes us feel super valued. Keep continuing to show that love on social media. We really love you. We appreciate you. And honestly, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have jobs and we wouldn't have people like you to provide for and continue giving that elite level of service, which we genuinely love to do. So keep it coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a powerful message and list of demands. I loved all of it. We definitely gotta make sure that we get clips of that spread around, guys. You guys know who you are. We need to get clips of that spread around. That was a great message. And that's honestly a great way to end part one of our activist summit. But before we wrap up, because we're going to transition, everyone who's watching, I need you guys to transition to part two because it's the all-day event that we're doing today. We have part one, part two. Part two starts at 2 with Dr. Jill Stein and Savvy Savs. You guys don't want to miss that. But before we sign off, I appreciate the time that you guys brought with us today. Any final thoughts, Tyler and Candy, before we wrap up? Like, where can they find you? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think you displayed the socials on the screen there. We are working on a website, so keep that in mind. But yeah, give us a follow. Please give us your feedback. This is about everybody. It's not about anybody. So, the other thing too is that if you are feeling a little bit like like we were talking about earlier, if you're feeling a little bit on the fence about how you feel about this whole thing, don't just take one perspective. Ask around, ask people inside TSCA, ask people that have worked for unions before, watch the rest of the summit, check out the beginning of the summit when they post that. This is real stuff that isn't changing. So one last thing I just want to say, Nick, RBN, thank you guys so much. Seriously, it was really awesome for you to have us on. I'm a huge fan, and it's like, I'm going to be giddy about this for a while. So thanks a lot.
It was great to have you guys. Yeah, you guys was great, man. I'm glad to spread awareness on the action that you guys are doing. It was great. So I see we got CJ. I'll pop you guys out. Thank you for joining us once again. I
got one last thing.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So I don't know how to add comments. I've seen a lot of people putting them in the comments. I just want to say, hey, thank you. I love y'all back. Y'all the shit. And lastly, in the words of Diamond Armstrong, make the money. Don't let them make you.
Solidarity,
my friends.